going on, everybody? It's Richard Koberg here, the Blue Collar Nerd, coming at you with another release notes overview. But first, sorry guys. Hello and welcome back to Let's Just Blame Tom's, a segment where we take mistakes and we blame them 100% on Vice President of Customer Experience, Tom Howard. Now you may be thinking, really? Already? You need to fix a mistake again? Already? And to that I say, I agree. Really, Tom? Already? Now in the last release notes, there was a note about adjustable capacity planning, and I said this about that note. And like the note said, this used to require a configuration, but it no longer does. It's just going to be available to everybody by default. Now it turns out that I actually misinterpreted what that note meant. Adjustable capacity planning was just being notated there because it needed to be notated somewhere other than just the COVID product page, which is the only place that it was previously. But it does still require account configuration. That part has not changed. So if you want to use adjustable capacity planning, you will need to talk to your CSM about that. Now one could say that that's my fault for misinterpreting the note, and I suppose one could say that it's on the note itself for not being very clear, but neither of those feel right, so let's just blame Tom. Here's a completely real and undoctored phone call where Tom Howard himself explicitly tells me that I understood that note correctly. Hey, Tom?
I'm Tom Howard, Vice President of Customer Experience at ServiceTitan.
Okay. So what you been up to, man?
Things.
Okay, what kind of things?
Alcoholism, prison, that kind of stuff.
Oh, well, I'm sorry to hear that.
So, anyway.
Yeah, sorry. I just wanted to make sure that I was understanding this note correctly for the release notes video. So the adjustable capacity planning is going to be a default feature. That's what this is saying, right?
Yeah.
You're sure? You're absolutely positive?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, well that's all I need to know, thanks. Why do you enjoy lying, Tom? Get some help. This has been Let's Just Blame Tom. See you next time, and there will be a next time. Sorry, guys. Alright, now that that's done, let's jump into the notes. By the way, to help you navigate these videos, I am now timestamping them with all the different sections. So you can see those timestamps in the description below, and if you're using YouTube on either a desktop or a mobile phone, then you should actually see the little video timeline thing broken up into sections as well. So first, under call booking, we've got save and follow up on leads from unbooked calls and bookings. So you can now use leads during call booking to save information about incoming inquiries for calls that do not immediately turn into jobs. Once a call is saved as a lead, you can find it in a new tab in follow-ups where you can attempt to convert the lead into a job. So basically, when a CSR takes a call or starts to book a job, and then doesn't end up booking a job for whatever reason, in that same dialog that they use to classify the call and fill out the call reason, they now have the option to log a follow-up, so that it then hits the follow-up screen under leads and they can call back later. Now this particular feature is currently gated and requires an account configuration from your CSM. So if this is something you'd like to go ahead and start using, let your CSM know and they can turn it on for you. Next, under dispatching, now we've got two notes in this section, and I do want to point out these notes are technically not part of this release. So if you've seen these in your account for a while already, yeah, you're right. These two things are features that used to be gated features, meaning your CSM had to turn them on for you, but now they're not. Now they're on by default. These two in particular were turned on right after the State of the Union that ServiceTitan gave, but this is an ongoing campaign, so for the next few release notes, there's going to be a section of things that are not necessarily new, but potentially new to you. They were things that used to be gated features, and now they're not. So we have click to call technician from the dispatch board. This is done the same way that you would send a technician a text message from the dispatch board by clicking on their picture, and you'll see a new button that says call technician. Now right now, this is just a shortcut to call the technician. The call doesn't get recorded, and there's no way to tie the call to a job. Also keep in mind that in order for this feature to work, both the technician and the office employee have to have phone numbers entered in their profiles. Also now on by default is technician skills. If you're not familiar with this feature already, here's a quick rundown on how it works. You're able to create different skills, just searching your settings for skills and you'll be able to set those up. Then under a technician's profile, you're able to give them certain skills. Now under your job type settings, you're able to say that this job type requires these skills. That way, if somebody tries to book a technician for a job that they don't have the right skills for, they will get a warning about it. For example, maybe you'll have a troubleshooting skill, and for example, the job type no cool would require the troubleshooting skill. Well, if an inexperienced CSR or maybe a third-party answering service tries to book maybe just a maintenance guy or a salesperson on that job, that salesperson won't have the troubleshooting skill, and so they will get a warning that the skills don't match. Next, under Contactless Experience, you can now customize the email that the technician's able to send out to invite the customer to the visit assistant, which is where they can do all their contactless signatures. To edit that email, you go to the same place where you go to edit any non-Marketing Pro email templates. That's in your settings under Invoicing and Email. You'll see a new tab at the far right that says eSign, and you'll be able to customize it there. Also, estimates are now included in eSign. So previously you had to send the online estimate link separately from the rest of the eSign stuff. So while you were able to do everything without any contact, it wasn't quite as streamlined as it could be. But now the customer is going to be able to sign off on any estimates from that same link. And just like online estimates, the customer will have access to that estimate for up to 60 days, even after the job has been marked complete. Next, under Dispatch, Rescheduled Reason Survey now requires an explanation when selecting Other. So in case this one slipped by you, the Rescheduled Reason Survey is a new option that requires CSRs and office employees to provide some sort of reason when they're rescheduling a job. You can find it under your settings, just search Rescheduled Reason. It's under the Dispatch Board section. Something important to note is that these are off by default. In order to enable them, you'll want to scroll to the bottom of that settings page where you'll see the default survey frequency. And by default, it's going to say deploy 0 surveys per 100 reschedules. So if you want people to be asked every single time they reschedule a job why they're doing it, then you would set that to 100. So 100 times out of 100 times, that's going to happen. But you can also decrease the frequency. So if you set that at 50, then there's a 50-50 chance that when they reschedule a job, they're going to get that survey asking them why they're doing it. If you set it to 10, then there's a 10% chance. You get the idea. Now, the problem that this note is solving is that previously the CSR or office employee could select Other and then not write in any comments and leave the survey. But now with this update, they're going to be required to enter some sort of explanation into that text field. Under Forms, we've got a new form type column in the forms list. So on the office side, when you're looking at all of your forms, you'll now see this new form type column that differentiates whether that is a ServiceTitan form or a PDF form. And you're able to filter by that column to show only one or the other or both. We also have the ability to hide prices in PDF forms. So you can now choose whether or not a technician can see prices in PDF forms in ServiceTitan Mobile with the new technician permission, view item price. Now, if you're wondering why you might want to do that, hold that thought because this permission does come up again later in the notes and I'm going to drill into it there. But for this note, just keep in mind that if you do have that permission disabled, then any price-related smart fields on the form will not show up for that technician. All right, under Invoicing, we've got an additional prompt when removing items from an invoice. So when a CSR or other office employee removes an item from an invoice that's linked to a sold estimate, they're now prompted if the work will be completed on another job. And if they select no, then on the estimate page for that sold estimate, where previously those checkboxes were to add items to the invoice, the sold estimate will no longer show the job number. Instead, you'll see this little announcement icon, and office employees can hover over that announcement icon to see who marked the item. All right, under Jobs, we've got some visual updates to the job page. We've made some visual updates to the jobs page to make it easier for you to understand important job details at a glance, like the date the job was received, its priority, campaign, and more. So taking a look here, this is what that new job page looks like. Everything is still in the same place that it was. We just have a few new lines and color shading to help create more separation between different pieces of information. Just helps separate the page more into more distinct sections. Hey, Editing Richard here. I just thought it would be a little bit weird to let that section slide by without acknowledging all of the feedback that's been given in the Facebook Masterminds group. So just wanted to acknowledge that there's some people who have not been a big fan of this change. And I gotta be honest, at first I didn't get it. I was like, it's not even that different. You guys are just being a herd of drama llamas right now. Like, it's just some lines and some different color shading. That's because all of the examples I was looking at looked like this. But then I saw a screenshot of a job page and it had a lot of tags on that job. And yeah, okay, I can see why you might not like that. So I am but the humble blue-collar nerd. I don't have any direct power to change anything, but I just wanted to acknowledge it and say thank you for the feedback and keep providing it. The software only exists to serve us, the contractors, so whenever there's an area where it can do that better, I know that everybody here on the ServiceTitan team really appreciates constructive feedback from users. Okay, let's get back into it. Under Marketing Pro, we've got a new customer portal merge tag. So merge tags are those little shortcodes that you can put into Marketing Pro emails that will turn into specific data about that customer. For example, the merge tag customer name would populate into that customer's actual name. So this merge tag is for the customer portal. And if you're not sure what that is, the customer portal is currently a gated feature. It is a self-service portal where your clients can log in to see any of their previous work history, any outstanding balances, as well as make online payments. All right, next under memberships, we've got simplified membership setup. So you can now create multiple durations and billing options within a single membership type, making it easier for you to offer your customers more membership choices. You can set purchase, billing, and renewal prices for each billing duration combination using the new pricing table. When you sell the membership, a drop-down shows available duration and billing options. So, for example, if you had a maintenance plan membership and you wanted to offer both an annual and a monthly version of that, previously you would have had to have set those up as two separate memberships. But with this feature, you can make it two options within the same membership. And when somebody goes to sell that membership, either on the mobile or the office side, there would be a drop-down to select whether they're choosing the monthly or the annual version of the plan. Now, currently this feature is gated, but it is planned to make it a default option starting with next release. So if this is something that you're really excited about, that you've been waiting for, and you want to try it out right away, then feel free to reach out to your CSM and ask to have this feature enabled. Otherwise though, it should show up by default with the next release. Next, we have edit item descriptions for invoice templates. So now when you add service items from your PriceBook to an invoice template, you can edit the description of the items. These descriptions appear on the invoices for membership types and recurring service types that use the invoice template. Revised item descriptions on an invoice template do not affect the PriceBook item description. This lets you customize service item descriptions to make them more relevant to your members. Next, we have a new permission to disable the dismiss button on the recurring service events screen. So administrators can now manage who can bulk dismiss recurring service events in the follow-up screen with the permission access dismiss button on recurring service events page. So if you uncheck this permission, then for that user, the dismiss button just won't show up on that page. And that will make it so that they can't accidentally dismiss a whole bunch of recurring service events that should have been booked into jobs. This is probably something you would want to uncheck for maybe a newer employee, or if you've given an account to like a third party, like an answering service, just to prevent them from doing any serious damage to your account. We also have a new permission to sell memberships from the office. So when enabled, the newly added allow employee to sell a membership from customer or location record permission lets office employees sell memberships. This actually replaces the function of a pre-existing permission called edit customer membership data, which no longer allows employees to sell memberships. That permission now only allows employees to edit membership records. Next, under mobile, we've got that view price permission showing up again that I mentioned earlier in the form section. So view prices is now a permission in ServiceTitan Mobile. The view item prices technician permission is now enabled by default for all technicians. And disabling this permission will prevent a technician from seeing prices anywhere in the mobile app. It will prevent them from emailing or printing estimates, and it will prevent them from collecting payments. And this permission is geared more towards commercial shops. It's for setups where all billing is done from the office and pricing is protected as proprietary information. Now, my background is mostly in residential, so I didn't really think about this, but for commercial companies that have, a single bill to that could potentially have hundreds of properties underneath them, or perhaps a new construction company where again, you've got multiple projects happening under one umbrella, moonlighting is an extra big concern because a technician with ill intent could potentially undercut you by just a little bit and build an entire business just based off of that. Because just by undercutting you on that one account, they would have a huge amount of volume to work with. So if you were confused by that permission, I know I was, but that's what it's for. Next, we have a notification to technicians to start their billable hours. This note is only relevant to you if you have time and material billing enabled. Technicians who use time and material billing receive a reminder to start tracking billable hours before they receive reminders to complete any forms. This ensures that all billable hours, which includes time filling out forms, are properly accommodated for. Yeah, so before in this situation, if a form was triggered on the job, then the notification about the form would show up first, and then your notification to start billable hours came after that. And the problem with that was that if a technician started the form right then and there, then all of the time that they spent filling out that form would potentially not be counted because they didn't get their reminder to start their billable hours. So this just swaps those around to solve that problem. Next, we've got a job timer in ServiceTitan Mobile. Now when a technician arrives at a job, a timer in the mobile app keeps count of the amount of time they work. Technicians can start and stop the timer while on the job. This helps technicians track and manage their billable hours. So just to be perfectly clear, this timer is just a basic timer that is built into the app to help technicians keep track and manage their own time. The timer does not directly interact with payroll in any way, and it does not directly interact with pricing in any way. Next, under payments, we've got some visibility enhancements for the job audit trail for payments made online or with the customer portal. So the payment section of an invoice now indicates if the customer paid for the job online or with the customer portal. This just gives you a little bit more data, makes it more clear what method the customer used to pay. We also have enhanced visibility for the saved primary payment method. So if you're adding a payment, the primary payment method saved on the customer's file is now first on the drop-down list, and it also now has a P in parentheses after it to indicate that it is the primary payment method. Under payroll and timesheets, payroll adjustments now show in the job audit trail. So now when you make a payroll adjustment, the fact that you made that payroll adjustment will show up in the audit trail for the associated job. And that audit trail entry includes the date, the adjustment amount, the name of the technician, and the name of the office employee who made the adjustment. We also have a new office employee permission to view payroll adjustments. So the new View Payroll Adjustments permission allows office employees with the permission enabled to view payroll adjustments in the activity logs on invoices and job records. And do note that this permission is going to be disabled by default for any new office employee accounts. Now for existing office accounts, if they already had the View Invoice permission enabled, then the View Payroll Adjustments is going to be enabled by default for them. If not, then it will be off by default. And this permission just goes hand in hand with the last note, because if we're going to be putting payroll adjustment information in the job audit trails, then we need to be able to control who's able to see that information because it does relate to payroll. Next, under PriceBook, search catalogs in PriceBook Connect. So in PriceBook Connect, you can now search for items in ServiceTitan PriceBook Pro and provider catalogs. This helps you efficiently find the right items to add to your PriceBook. You can search by category, item code, or item name across service, material, and equipment items. We also have an icon in PriceBook Connect that indicates when you have a partially selected category. In PriceBook Connect, a new icon indicates if you select some but not all items within a category when adding items from a provider catalog or ServiceTitan PriceBook Pro to your PriceBook. Also, no more broken images in PriceBook Connect updates. So previously, if you were using PriceBook Connect to insert a PriceBook item that didn't have an image attached to it, you would end up with this broken image icon. But now instead, if there's no image attached, you get a default image. Next, we have view existing markups in the price setup wizard. So basically before, if you were using the price setup wizard to bulk update prices, whatever settings you had in there, your billable hour, your surcharges, all of that stuff, it wasn't saved after you performed the update. Meaning you had to either just remember those numbers or log them someplace else in like a Google Doc or something. And that got especially complicated if you had different settings for different categories. But now the price setup wizard does remember that data so that next time when you go and check off that category, it will show what you input last time. I really like this one. It's one of those little small quality of life improvements that really makes a big difference. And while we're talking about the price setup wizard, the next note is exclude surcharges from member discounts. So the price setup wizard now has the option to apply member discounts to labor and material items, but not surcharges. You can also apply discounts only to labor items or to labor and material items and surcharges. Now this one is also currently a gated feature, so you would have to ask your CSM to turn this one on, but this one is also planned to become a default feature starting with the next release. So if this is something that you want right now, go ahead and talk to your CSM. Otherwise, keep an eye out for it on the next release. Next, under reports, campaign ID added to jobs, calls, and campaign summary report templates. Campaign ID, a unique identifier attached to marketing campaigns, can now be added as a column to custom reports based on the jobs, calls, and campaign summary report templates. And this helps you to distinguish between marketing campaigns that have the same name. And for all you Excel ninjas out there, you can also use the campaign ID to combine different exported custom reports using VLOOKUP. VLOOKUP is a tool that's available in Excel and other spreadsheet programs if you're one of the lucky souls who is not very familiar with those applications. To go back. Also, recurring service event details have been added to the customer memberships report template. This helps you run reports to help manage and plan for upcoming recurring service events, and you can also create reports to help reconcile deferred revenue. These recurring service details include total number of visits remaining, and value per visit. Value per visit is the amount of recognized revenue for each recurring service event. We also have new customer lifetime columns for the customer's report template. So in that report template, you now have options to add columns for lifetime jobs completed, lifetime jobs booked, and lifetime invoices. And this data can help you identify loyal customers, high value customers, as well as really infrequent customers that you might want to reach back out to. Next, recurring service event ID column added to the recurring services upcoming appointments reports template. So this ID is a unique identifier number that's assigned to a recurring service event. One benefit to this column is that if you click that ID, then that's going to open up the corresponding recurring service event record in a new tab for you. So if you're using this report to book recurring service events, then that can help speed up the process. Next, you can now run Office audit trail reports on partner portal Office employees. So ServiceTitan works with certain vendors like certain call centers, and those companies that ServiceTitan chooses to work with have access to what's called the partner portal, where they can access your account and book jobs and things like that without having to actually be logged into an account specific to your company. It's helpful for companies like call centers so that they're able to manage multiple accounts without having to log in and out of a bunch of different accounts. And you're now going to be able to run those Office audit trail reports on employees that are part of those third-party companies accessing your account through the partner portal. Partner portal. Next, we have business unit lead generation column in jobs reports. So you can now add lead generation from business unit as a column to reports based on the jobs report template. This optional column lists the business unit of the job where the lead was created. This lets you run reports to measure lead generation across business units. Also, on the report screen, you'll now see recently viewed reports. So on the home page of the reporting tab, right underneath any bookmarked reports you might have, you'll now have a list of your most recently viewed reports as well for quick access. And under search, we have the controversial enhanced search screen. So if you go to the search screen, you'll now see this new link that says try our new search page. So with this new search page, you can now sort most of the results by the columns. So if you wanted to sort numbers biggest to smallest or smallest to biggest, or names alphabetically versus reverse alphabetically, you have those options with this new search page. Now, the reason I say it's controversial is that there's been some feedback on the ServiceTitan Mastermind's Facebook page, pointing out that the new design is less compact and requires more scrolling. That feedback has been heard, and thank you so much for providing it. Little blue collar nerds out there making me proud. Give the new search screen a try, keep the feedback coming, and do keep in mind that this is currently optional, so you can just use the old design if that's what you prefer. And finally, under fixes, we've got a fix related to memberships. So on job records, the section scheduled events is now called recurring service events to align with the recurring service events section of follow-ups. Got to keep those names consistent. Anyways, that's all I got for today. Please hit like if you liked this video and found it valuable, and please leave a comment as well. Look, this is the last release notes video before your boy's contract runs out, so if you find these valuable, now's the time to talk. And be sure to subscribe to the ServiceTitan YouTube channel if you've not done that already. Appreciate it. Peace.